Hi, so I wanted to talk today about introversion, shyness, and social anxiety and how they are distinct things from one another. And I wanted to talk about this because I've seen a lot of places on the internet and sometimes talking with people in real life, they tend to get lumped together as if they're all part of the same thing when they're not, even though sometimes there is overlap in individuals where somebody's introverted but they're also shy, but also somebody can be extrovert and have social anxiety. So that's what I wanted to talk about, is how those things are different, and then sometimes how they work together. So firstly, introversion. There's kind of this. I feel like there's this sub community on the internet that of people who consider themselves to be introverts, but it feels like they're mostly just misanthropes and they just hate people in general, which to me is not what introversion is, especially in the context of MBTI. All that means is that you primarily draw energy from yourself and kind of spending time alone without all the outside input of the world. And that's not the same thing as I don't want to be around people ever, because that's not healthy behavior. And I feel like especially this past year, with everything that's been going on in the world and how a lot of people are staying home more than usual, I keep seeing memes on Instagram and things like that where people are kind of relishing in the experience as if at this point it's still enjoyable to them. And I think that's a little bit strange, because to me that's not being introverted. I think there's other things going on if at this stage in the game you're still just completely fine with staying in your house and never seeing your friends and family, but that's another issue. So yeah, all introversion means is that you gain energy from spending time kind of within yourself versus interacting with the outside world. And this is, in terms of MBTI, that's all that means. But for a function like extrovert and intuition, that doesn't even necessarily have to be interacting with people per se. It can be, watching TV or going on random Wikipedia rabbit holes, or reading books and kind of, thinking about things that way. And that's part of the reason why it's often said that ENTPs and ENFPs are considered to be the most introverted of the extroverted types, is because that's their lead function, which, even though it's an extroverted function, it doesn't necessarily have to do with social interaction. You can be by yourself and be doing extroverted intuition. So yeah, that's kind of what introversion is, versus extroversion is you gain energy from interacting with others and interacting with the outside world, what it is. And it also doesn't mean that extroverts don't need time away to themselves, and it doesn't mean that introverts never like talking to people, regardless of what the memes that are on the internet. And so social anxiety can affect anybody, whether or not they're an introvert or an extrovert. And it's, obviously more of kind of the phobia of social interaction and wanting to interact with people, but being too afraid to do so for one reason or another, whether or not it's because you're afraid that they're going to judge you or they won't like you or any other reason. And any type can be affected by this. It's not something that only affects introverts, and I think that people who are naturally extroverts, if they suffer from this, they're kind of more likely to view themselves as introverts, even if they're not. And this, especially, I think it could be more common in, the extroverted intuitive types, the ENTPs and the ENFPs. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to do with whether or not you're introverted or extroverted. And I think it can be even a more crippling thing for people who are extroverted, just because they want to interact with people, and then it stresses them out to do so, even though they want to do it, and that's naturally how they are. So that's social anxiety. And shyness is also a distinct thing. And from personal experience for me, when I was a kid and when I was in school, I was very, very shy. And it wasn't that I was just an introvert. I was shy, and I was, I just wanted to kind of hang back in the background and, kind of mind my own business. But I also wanted to be friends with people, and it was really a challenge for me to make friends. To the point where, I think some of my teachers kind of felt bad for me because they could see that I wanted to be friends with people. So I was always kind of with groups, but I was never part of a group. And, there are certain behavioral things that go along with shyness. And one of the things that I think I still deal with is having a soft voice when I'm trying to speak to people. And it's physically very, very difficult for me to raise my voice or yell. I have to get into a completely different mindset from how I normally am in order to do so. And kind of going along with social anxiety, extroverted types can be shy too. They're not mutually exclusive, even though I feel like all these things in general conversation get lumped together, which isn't accurate. So yeah, and I guess my main gripe of this video is the idea that a lot of introverts just don't like people. And I don't think that's true. I love people, and I love people watching, and I love, kind of analyzing relationships that I see that other people have with each other. And I like interacting with people, and I like talking to people about different things. But being an introvert, what that means for me is that after I've done a certain amount of socializing and extroverting in whatever way, I need to kind of step back and take some time for myself and decompress. It doesn't mean that I don't like people, and I'm just tired of seeing these misanthropic memes about introverts, as if that is all introverts, and it's not. Especially if you look at MBTI, you have ISFJs and INFJs. I don't think that ISFJs in particular hate people. They love people, and I think they're one of the, more socially successful of the introverted types. And they love taking care of people, and the stereotype is that they love to bake people cookies and things like this. So that's not true for them. So yeah, that was kind of the main points I wanted to get across, is that introversion, shyness, and social anxiety are distinct things, but they can show up in the same person. And there is some overlap, but they're not all the same. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you're having a good day. Any comments, questions, or concerns, just let me know. And Happy New Year. Hopefully this year goes better than the last one for everybody. So, bye.